Don't you want the story twice? Look no fear, the studio say remakes.
I'm recording, so we're good to go whenever.
I am also recording, and my waveform looks fine.
Oh my god, two of us are recording.
So I'm not going to yell into the mic this time.
Good.
I've been recording for 4 minutes.
Easy.
Okay, perfect. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Once More with Feeling, a podcast about great original movies and they're often not so great remakes. I'm really nervous right now. I don't think anyone can hear. I don't think anyone can hear it, but my heart is pumping a lot more than normal. I'm Gus Schiff. I'm a screenwriter, an improviser.
What else today? Anything?
I try to be a good boyfriend, and I'm not always successful, but I think I'm successful like 60 to 70% of the time.
Gus, just from the information that you give me, I think you're a great boyfriend, and you should. I got
a thumbs up for 60 to 70% of the time. So that's good. That's better than average.
And I'm Mariana. I'm a YouTube film critic and media scholar. And today we have with us the first guest of the season.
What?
You know him as
Who
the
is
guy.
it?
Well, it's the guy who, at the very least, contributed to the NFT bubble pop, which is a pretty serious public service, in my opinion.
I saw that had a lot of like views and impact. Do you think it like actually contributed to that pop? Because thank you.
I know.
If it did.
What I would say Line Goes Up contributed to the pop, I don't think it had a material impact on price collapse and like the economics of the pop. What I think the impact is it gave people language to talk about it.
And how
so that
stupid
was,
it was.
yeah, that was the big impact, was suddenly people were like, oh, I comprehend what's going on and I understand like how to talk about it. I get the vocabulary, I can communicate it, I can express this. I've had this nagging feeling in my gut whenever I look at the Bored Ape. I look at the Bored Ape and I know what I think about the Bored Ape, but it's just a raw emotion. It's not a thought. It's not an opinion. And I think Line Goes Up really gave people like the vocabulary to talk about NFTs, to talk about crypto in a way that allowed them to then take their feelings and turn them into opinions.
Like many scams, NFTs very much depended on people not knowing what they were and this sort of veil of like, oh, it's going to be the future, but you're just not qualified enough to understand it.
Hype and myth. And that was, I think, what, if there was a material contribution, it would be in people suddenly feeling like a bunch of people being confident to just be like, oh, yeah, it's hype and myth. It's myth. Like there's nothing underneath it. You're selling promises that you could never keep.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then also with several other scams. You recently invited Beast Studios, which is a video that it occurred to me today is kind of its own work of folk horror, in my opinion.
I loved that video.
It's amazing, yeah.
One of the most bizarre things to happen to me in my life. I still
it's truly
don't.
Wild.
Yeah.
What's his name?
It's of course Dan Olson of the Folding Ideas channel. Thank you so much for being here. This is so exciting.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh my god!
Editor Dan, can you put in just like a raucous crowd?
Our editor is also Dan.
Yeah, I could put in a raucous crowd. I know how to do that. I think I've got one of those on.
The crowd cheering at Queen's Live Aid concert, I think, is an appropriate representation of how excited we are.
Yeah.
I currently have a lot of stock audio of crowds at a drag racing event.
Why?
Because I was filming B-roll at a drag racing event for a project that we're working on right now. It's a stock scam where a lot of it took place at drag racing events.
Terrific. You can turn anything into
hook.
stock.
Yeah.
Incredible.
We're so excited to talk about Wicker Man with you. What a pair we've got.
What a wild pair of movies.
Oh yeah. Released in two very, very different time periods.
In two very, very different countries. Well, slightly different countries.
Yeah.
They're pretty different.
They're different in ways that matter, for sure. Let me tell you a little bit about 1973, which we discovered before we started recording is not actually the year that this movie came out, unless you're
British.
Unless you're British. Yeah.
Which is where the movie was made, so everybody's right. It's fine.
Yeah.
So 1973, Vietnam War is winding down. Nixon starts pulling people out. But since we have at this point pretty much just fucked over all of Southeast Asia, we're starting our involvement in Latin America now. So at the same time, a U.S.-backed military coup overthrows Chile's leftist president and installs dictator Augusto Pinochet. Terrific. We're off to a great start in the 70s.
Can I just say, I was in Whole Foods the other day, and even in expensive Whole Foods, the bananas were like 30 cents per pound. And I just I know morally it's bad. But I get it.
No, there's no but after that. Morally, it's bad.
No, morally, it's bad. But if you don't really think of other countries as people, I get the CIA's move to keep banana prices low.
Very good for banana prices.
Yeah.
The UK, Ireland, and Denmark joined the EU, and almost immediately afterward, Northern Ireland votes on whether to remain a part of the UK. And this is how the troubles begin. Terrific. The first cell phone is invented. Greece abolishes their monarchy. This is a year of a lot of stochastic terror, including the upstairs lounge attack. A gay bar in New Orleans is set on fire, and 32 people die. This is never solved because it is the 70s. Nobody cares about gay people. Watergate happens this year. Richard Nixon is revealed as having bugged a DNC office. This results in him resigning eventually. It's the kind of thing people used to care about in this country. And then more generally, there's an emergent youth culture that is freaking everybody out with their provocative music and their casual drug use and interest in all this strange spirituality, which is obviously very relevant for the Wicker Man. By the 70s, the optimism of the sexual revolution and hippie culture had been kind of tainted, I feel. The Manson murders had happened, and all these young people, 6-7 years on, had discovered that your heart can still get broken even if you've said fuck the man at the same time. The censorship of the post-war era was on the wane. The Hays Code had ended in 1968. We're entering this era of pretty small budget productions and exploitation films, and that is the cultural environment that this movie, The Wicker Man, emerges from. Yeah.
Studio collapse happened. The Ben-Hur era had fully come to a close a few years earlier, and just given how long it takes to make a movie, like the impact of that is now kind of in full swing. You've got American New Wave, and American New Wave also bled into British Second New Wave, which you could classify this as a part of. For people who have watched my deep cut stuff, Ralph Bakshi has had a unprecedented hit with the X-rated Fritz the Cat. And this is around the same time that, my personal opinion, his best movie, Heavy Traffic, comes out.
Dan, tell us your understanding of The Wicker Man. When's the last time you saw it? When's the first time you saw it?
The first time I saw The Wicker Man was probably 7-8 years ago. And the last time I saw it was Wednesday.
Okay, yeah.
So I rewatched both of these in anticipation for this, because I wanted them fresh on my mind rather than just sort of riffing about a movie that I've seen before, but it's been a while. So
sort of stale emotions, yeah.
Yeah, so I very much saw it in the context of having already seen the remake well into its notoriety phase. It was just this Leon, we had heard good things about it, or that it was at the very least far more interesting than the remake. And so we watched it for a movie party. So I watched it with a bunch of my movie watching friends, and we really enjoyed it. I think we might have paired it with Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh, interesting. Initially, it was paired with Don't Look Now, which I think still makes a pretty good double feature.
Yeah.
They kind of set it up to fail. You can talk about that in a minute. But let me say for the listeners what happens in this movie. We three have all seen it very, very recently, but maybe you haven't. Maybe you've seen it never. You should.
I saw it yesterday.
It's good. It's a good movie. I like it a lot. So there's several versions of this movie. I think the version that we all watched, because it's just the most common print, starts with Sergeant Neil Howie, who is in church with his fiance. Is this where the movie starts for both of you?
No.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
At an Anglican mass
Yes.
with him doing
yeah.
Doing
I'm sorry.
communion, yes.
Yeah, they're doing communion, and he's reading the liturgy.
Yes.
No, that is what happened, and then there's like a long montage of flying,
Yes.
and I was
Yes.
like, okay, now the movie starts.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, the first scene is when he lands and he's yelling about a dinghy. No, it does start at a church.
There is a different version, a shorter version that starts, I think, just with him going to the island, and then the longer version, the director's cut, that is also really rare. It has this whole thing where Howie is like at his department talking with the other cops, and that's where they establish just how Christian he is. And the director, after the studio kind of fucked with everything, and released a cut he didn't approve of. That was the only cut that he did approve of. He didn't think that that was necessary, so he cut that out.
I don't think it's necessary. Wholly unnecessary. It is very well established and in deft ways. The common edit, which I believe is called like the extended cut or something, largely for like additional nudity.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, just in his performance, he's clearly into it. And it's, relevant for what the movie is saying, that it is communion he is doing. This is the sort of Christian,
he's
ritual
doing
sacrifice.
ritual.
Yeah. So we watch him do communion, and then after the service, we see him fly a little plane to the remote village of Summer Isle. When he gets there,
plane.
Oh, it is, yes, a water plane that he's flying himself, which I don't know.
It's a police water plane, which I didn't know existed.
So when he gets there, we learn, as he tells the people on the island, that he is there because his department gets a letter claiming that a girl called Rowan Morrison has disappeared and not been seen for months. But nobody he talks to can give him a straight answer about who Rowan is or where she went. Some people say they don't know her. One girl says she's a rabbit now. The lady who's supposed to be her mother doesn't know what he's talking about. He goes to the local pub/inn where everybody breaks into song about how hot the landlord's daughter is. They're right, she's very hot, and he clearly agrees. And that night he leaves the inn and is shocked that all the young people that were previously in the inn are now having sex out on the lawn. Stunning to him. Also that night, after he goes to bed, Lord Summerisle, the sort of ruler of this island, brings some kid to the landlord's daughters so they can have sex. Everybody's fucking on this island. This is all very, very disturbing to Howie, who is, because he's extremely Christian, it's very, very important that we all understand that Sergeant Howie does not have sex. He has never fucked. They repeat it over and over in the movie. It's very important.
There's a brilliant bit where he's listening to these two teenagers bone in the next room and just like fervently praying next to this rickety tiny bed, comically small bed.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? I need to back up on the director's cut thing. I actually think that having a scene at the department that establishes that Howie is like exceptionally Christian actually undermines the finale, because it makes him an oddity within his own culture, and there's some themes that come to a capstone in the ending that I think are worse if he's actually a weirdo and not just sort of the extreme of what he represents.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that it's like throughout the movie, you're supposed to identify with him, even though you might subjectively think he's kind of weird. And ultra Christian.
Yeah, he's supposed to have your dad energy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So the next day he goes to visit Rowan's school, where all the boys are doing the sloppiest maypole dance I've ever seen in my life. Like, those ribbons are not uniform at all. And every time I watch this movie, it bothers me.
Well, they're not dancing around it. They're just doing hip thrusts.
No, they are dancing around it. They do.
Not in the one
you saw?
I don't think so. Like, I remember when
you're not wrong. They do hip thrusts, but they also do go around
they dance
the
around it?
maypole.
They do.
Okay, and then you see the ribbons you see the finished wrap, and the
everywhere.
Wrap looks bad.
It's awful.
I was so confused by that, because I wasn't seeing them like running around how I thought maypoles went.
Yeah, no, because the choreography is not great.
Okay.
No. So the teacher there, who
Ignore me.
So the teacher there is also extremely hot and gives him kind of the runaround as well about where Rowan is before basically telling him that she is indeed dead. He goes to visit Lord Summerisle, who is Christopher Lee, of course, to get permission to exhume Rowan. And Lord Summerisle tells him about the history of the island, that the village was founded by his grandfather, who is this like Victorian era scientist who kind of engineered this neo-pagan religion around these new strains of fruit trees he's cultivated to grow there. It's Scotland. Nothing grows in Scotland. So
it's the Scottish Highlands.
Yeah.
So extra nothing
stuff.
grows there.
Yes, exactly.
That's why they're all shepherds.
Yes. Yeah. He does pull up Rowan's grave in the end and discovers the body of a hare in the coffin. He also discovers in his investigation a photo of Rowan at the previous year's harvest, which had failed. So he concludes that they're going to sacrifice Rowan to bring the crops back at their summer festival the next day. He knocks out the innkeeper and takes his Punch the Fool outfit to go undercover to the festival. It was our first clown movie. I'm so excited about that. I love a clown. He does find Rowan, but Rowan leads him back to the waiting villagers, who explain that they've all lured him here and groomed him to be the perfect sacrifice to bring their crops back. They're going to put him in this giant wood guy full of animals and burn it. And how he tells them they're all crazy, that their crops failed because they're growing things that aren't supposed to grow there. Tells Lord Summerisle next year it'll be him they sacrifice, but he fails to convince them this is a bad idea. They put him in the Wicker Man and burn it as they sing a fun song and dance a jig around it. That's the end of the movie. And wow, it's so good.
Yeah. There's that great last shot where like the Wicker Man head collapses and then it's like the
sunset.
Yeah, and like the whole thing was like they were sacrificing like to the sun god.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
I liked it.
And then the last thing we see is after everything is done, we see a Summerisle film release. And then it's the credits. So within the universe of the movie, this is like Summerisle propaganda, I guess.
What?
Yeah, I read initially that apparently instead of that sun god animation, the original director's cut starts with a title card that says, the producer would like to thank the Lord Summerisle and the people of his island off the west coast of Scotland for this privileged insight into their religious practices and for their generous cooperation in the making of this film, which I'm okay with being gone. I don't think we need that.
Ooh, spicy.
But,
it's got a diegetic pseudo documentary angle. I didn't realize that was part of this.
Yeah, I didn't either at first, which tells me that it doesn't need to be there. But I appreciate
fun.
the inventiveness, though. It is fun.
It's a funness.
It's
a
is,
fun
yeah.
thing.
So this was filmed in Dumfries and Galloway, which is in southwest Scotland, directed by Robin Hardy, off an idea between Christopher Lee and screenwriter Anthony Schaffer, I think is how you say his name, to adapt a novel called Ritual. Lee is really, really important to getting this made and seen. He was this movie's like huge champion, and when it came out and was kind of a disappointing release, he was pretty instrumental in making it kind of the cult classic that it is now. The director said, "We had been aficionados of the Hammer films. They used all the old cliches of the witchcraft thing, holding up crosses, garlic, things the Catholic Church invented as propaganda against the still surviving old religion that they had replaced. We thought it would be quite good to create a society where the actual Celtic religion informed everybody. We went for all the religious and quasi-religious things which informed the mythology of various nations, going back. Like I said, this was released as a second feature to Don't Look Now, which is also a super good movie that has, fortunately or unfortunately for the purposes of our podcast, has not been remade, because I would love to force Gus to watch that movie. It's super good and super creepy. And the reason they did that is because British Lion had been bought out by some huge entertainment conglomerate that wanted to oust the producer there, and they hated this movie, so this is when all the cuts happen and how we get multiple prints of this.
They hated the one we're talking about, or
yes.
they hated
Yeah,
Don't
they
Look
hated
Now?
The Wicker Man.
Okay.
They didn't like the idea of, it seems to me like they just had sort of like boilerplate conservative opinions about, how much sex was in it, how much nudity was in it.
The cop loses.
Yeah, there are all these like ambivalences about, who, like where morality is supposed to be, and they didn't like that. They didn't want to associate
Why would
it with
the Christian die at the end?
Yeah, exactly.
He's a Christian. It's a Christian country.
As he says, blatantly in the movie, So the movie's released, and they, it doesn't get any marketing, but the people who do see it like it. It doesn't become like a true cult movie until 5 or 6 years later when Hardy and Christopher Lee take it on a little press tour in the States. They both like
a road show.
Yeah, they took it to the Bible Belt and said that everybody there really liked it. He said, funnily enough, they weren't put off by the Brit dance or anything. What is her name? Britt Eklund is the landlord's daughter. But the religious side of it, the Christians just loved. They said it was one of the only films they'd ever seen that really explains what resurrection is about. So that's kind of interesting. Britt Eklund also, I guess worth noting, her entire performance is dubbed. I couldn't find any information about why. I don't know if it was like she had the wrong accent or what, but
that's what that was.
Yeah. Okay. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
So she was pretty pissed about this movie because she did not agree to those naked shots of her from behind. And instead of cutting those, they just got a body double to do them, which is not the same thing. So she did not approve of this movie and kind of badmouthed it for the rest of its public existence. And I understand why. So the version we all saw is, I kept seeing it referred to as the medium cut that includes the church scene, but not Howie talking to the other cops. So that's The Wicker Man. I love this movie. I think it's super interesting, but I know a lot of that is just kind of, dependent on my personal proclivities toward things like the history of human sacrifice and stuff. So what did you all think?
Dan, a little context for why we went into horror. First of all, it's Mariana's like channel's kind of main focus.
It's my favorite genre. It's Gus's least favorite genre.
That's the other.
He's a huge weenie. He's never seen any
horror
of these.
movies because I hate being scared.
This is not a very scary movie.
No,
that
it's
is correct.
Atmospheric for sure. It's very vibey.
Yeah, and the first two movies we've seen so far were Nosferatu and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which are also very vibey and not that scary.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to think that I'm fine with horror. I just hate American horror because it sucks and it's just trying to make me upset.
No,
I mean,
it doesn't.
I saw your pitch list and like House of Wax is on there, and I don't want to say like House of Wax either version is particularly scary, but you're probably not going to enjoy sitting through the remake.
You're going to have a terrible time.
Good.
It's going to be so much fun.
Oh, fantastic. I liked it. It was very weird. It was very vibey. It was like
very weird.
It did remind me a lot like of the movies of the time that I've seen. Like I watched All the President's Men recently, which of course I think is like 1976 or 77. But it's very kind of like similar style, a little kind of cinema verite elements, not like very hardcore, but just in terms of like method acting has expanded to like everybody, and not just like the big stars. The scenes aren't always necessarily like coming in and having like the full thing, the way that like, all these like Disney movies that we've been watching do from the 60s. And so it's cool. I like this era. I like this era of movies.
Yeah.
I think this movie is a musical.
I was going to say, yeah.
There's a lot of really good diegetic music.
Very good.
Yeah.
There are 13 songs, and most of them are diegetic.
Yeah, and they all inform the plot to some degree, which is, I think it fits. I think it fits. I think it's a musical.
And
I think this might be one of 2 horror musicals.
Sweeney Todd.
One of 3 horror musicals.
And it's cool too because the kind of folk music that they're using that was popular in the 70s, and it was derived from all this like super old Celtic folk traditions. It's very much a direct link that existed in that day and through today between the kind of pre-Christian European traditions that had survived thousands of years in these kinds of remote areas of Europe and had made it into modern pop culture. One of the scenes that they cut was the entire Gently Johnny scene.
What? But that's one of the best.
It's beautiful. And that's when Lord Summer Isle is introduced. It's
the kid.
When they bring the
child goes to lose
I lay
his
my
virginity.
hand upon your belly.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. It's a super beautiful song, and
Yeah.
that was one of the parts they cut,
a good
which really sucks.
I don't know a whole lot about the hippie movement in England. I felt like this was, and I could also be super wrong, I felt like this was a very strong commentary on the hippie movement of the time and kind of presenting it as just like a very sort of extreme version of it, an extreme version of like the parent conservativeness that we get from the policemen. And
It's a strong commentary,
That-
but it's interesting because it's not a particularly settled commentary. You know?
Yes. The modern movie that my brain immediately goes to compare it to would be Civil War.
this
Where
one,
like you can where you can kind of feel that it's like okay, here's these sides that are in tension with one another, and the movie itself has opinions on that
Yeah.
and on the sides, but isn't really like, oh well, here's where things should fall. There is not in fact a hero.
Yes. I think the difference between this and Civil War, because anybody who's seen my channel knows that Civil War is one of my least favorite movies of all time. I hate that movie so much.
I hate the fact that I love it so much.
There are things that are good about it, and those things just make me hate it all the more. But
Sure. That as a person who hates the fact that I love that movie, I totally understand your opinion on it. Yeah, no, that is the most comprehensible stance to me.
I think it's a good comparison because, I guess because of what I think it disproves, which is that the Wicker Man, in comparison to Civil War, and I think this is entirely a function of genre, that Alex Garland in that movie is trying to be cinema verite about a fictional situation that he made up in his head. Like, he thinks of himself as a war photographer, you know, and
Yes.
thinks he's just like showing things as they are.
My characters behave like pricks because because they're just people. Yeah.
Yeah, But I think the commentary happening in this movie, I guess like you could interpret Civil War in the same way. Like, you know, most of the reason I hate it has everything to do with Alex Garland's like own intentions and how I think they appear on the screen. And I think here, because it's a horror movie and because horror is supposed to be so much about evocation and just like a feeling.
Yeah.
I've been trying to make this
I think Civil War is a horror movie.
I think
I read it as a horror movie.
Yeah, I think it's better if you read it as a horror movie for sure.
I have one complaint about Civil War, and it's that
Really? Because I've got a lot, and I love that movie.
I'm like kind of right in the middle where it was like, I think this is the only thing that I've thought about long enough to talk about, because I was like fine with it to the point that I didn't want to think about it anymore.
See, you're
So
on the path. You're on the path to where I am, where you go like, "Oh, this movie is brilliant," and I despise the fact that I feel that way about it. Yeah.
No, I'm like, that movie's pretty good, but like there's one kind of big flaw for me that might be representative of other flaws, but I didn't like it enough to keep thinking about it beyond this one flaw, which is he kept doing this thing where he would insert a shot
Yeah.
that one of the war photographers took, and there was a sort of
Yes.
like, look how beautiful it is
Yeah.
in his destruction. But his cinematography throughout the movie is like so structured and so good
It's the same.
that there's no comparison to it's just the same kind of shot as the rest of the movie. So there's nothing to compare how pretty those shots are supposed to look to. That's my problem with that movie.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I would, at a serious risk. Okay, you know what? All I'm going to say, because I do not want to just like derail this into talking about Alex Garland.
Civil War.
I will talk
is-
about this movie all day long. I
Civil
will make
War
this
is
a
the
Civil
modern
War
remake.
podcast.
Yeah, Civil War is the modern remake of The Wicker Man.
To me, the intent of those shots is their stillness. Is that it's not like, look at this pretty thing. It is, you have taken a moment and you have removed a dimension from it. You've actually removed two. You've removed time and you've removed depth. You have simulated depth in depth of field, and you have simulated time in motion blur, but those dimensions have been collapsed. And so every photo ever is context collapse. And
Every photo
so
begs to be explained.
yeah, the thing that Garland is like trying to say and maybe saying and maybe just sort of like fumbling through like a college freshman high in his own supply is that it's like, hey, So war photos are frequently like really evocative, but did you ever notice context collapse? But the thing is that by placing them into a temporal medium of a film, you are able to watch the context collapse because he is otherwise like showing you the context around it. And it's like, this shouldn't be working, but it is working. God damn you. I hate the fact that it's working on me.
Did you know this soldier holding a gun has probably shot that same gun?
And it's like, but it like, okay, all right, back to. So like context collapse isn't really a thing for this film, for Wicker Man, but Wicker Man is very much a movie about things in tension with one another. It's about Christianity in tension with paganism. It's about England in tension with empire. Mm-hmm. And so the rise of like the IRA, so their economic bombing campaign started a few years earlier, and this movie was already in production, but their civilian bombing campaign began early 73, where they started bombing like train stations. Mm-hmm. You have this movie being made in the context of the collapse of empire and the collapse of the strength of empire, the collapse of hegemony. And Vietnam wrapping up, like the undisputed power of the superpowers, the ability for these empires to just project unilateral strength onto any population they see fit. That narrative is in question. Mm-hmm. So you have this representative of the crown who goes into a space to project power and is consumed by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the movie is kind of like, you know, so that tension and the way that it's like, oh, it doesn't really settle is that it's like, okay, sure, the thing that they're doing is objectively like not a good thing. They should not be burning this guy alive. But at the same time, like he is a colonialist. Mm-hmm. Who is coming in to project power from a foreign crown, because we're in Scotland. We're not in England. We are in Scotland, which is part of the United Kingdom.
Listen.
But is not England.
The King of Scotland and the King of England have been the same person since James V.
Yes, but
in the 16th century. If it's the same crown for 500 years, at a certain point,
take that up with the Scots.
But I mean, this matters also because, like,
it's your king too.
There are interesting things that this movie is saying about local power as well. Because, one interesting thing about how this movie is structuring itself, especially compared to the new one, this isn't in there at all, is that this is not real paganism. At least, like, it's not. No, it's not like this explicitly. Lord, this Victorian rich guy who this island is like his project.
It's his private property. Yeah. He owns the whole thing.
Yeah. This is that one island that the Ellisons own. Oh my God, 2027 remake, anybody? Studios, give me a call.
I mean, it's like whatever positivity you can glean from how these people are behaving on this island is kind of tainted by the fact, and it is an in-universe fact that the thing that their entire religion is based on is manufactured and doomed to failure, which is pretty interesting, I think.
But then you get this utterly brilliant parallel when Howie is like surrounded by them at the very end and like is well aware of what they plan to do, but he has no route of escape because they're on this like perilous cliff.
He's gonna die.
And he starts trying to explain it rationally. Mm-hmm. He starts trying to explain it scientifically and ends up in this moment of tension where like everything that he is saying about their faith is true about his.
Yes, which is why it's important that we start with the Christian communion ritual, which is, of course, Christ sacrificing himself in place of all of these pagan sacrifices that they now no longer have to do because Christ has done it for them. This is the same thing. It's not murder involved, but...
There's a fabulous parallel in all of this, in transmutation, especially because we begin with that mass, we begin with that communion, is that the Anglican Church believes in transubstantiation.
It's the Catholic Church, just, without a pope.
Yeah, you have this doctrine of transubstantiation, which is the transmutation of the Eucharist into Christ. So him going into this space and being like, well, a body can't transmute into a hair. He ends up in all of these conversations where, like, he can't quite just dispute the metaphysics on their face and just be like, no, things don't transmute into other things.
They are fundamentally the same metaphysics, just, differently scaled. I'm so glad you brought that up.
So he has to instead argue that, like, no, because resurrection. So he ends up arguing doctrine. And it's really compelling, and I'm going to come back to that a whole bunch of times when we get around to talking about the remake and why it doesn't work.
One of the fun things about season 2 is that because horror is my thing and because I'm, at least half a horror scholar, I've been using this as a wonderful opportunity to like instruct anybody who will listen, and particularly Gus, since Gus is, kind of a captive audience here, about horror theory.
I've been just silently listening to like a graduate level film course for the last 20 minutes.
So the concept of abjection, I think, is not talked about enough.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're just going to say a word I don't even recognize?
Listen, it's really easy. Neither object nor subject. Abject. Absent of any kind of qualification. The abject is the thing in itself. And I think this is really important for understanding where the horror is in this movie, because this was not the case for immediately post-war horror. That was different. We haven't watched The Thing yet, but we'll watch it really soon. And you'll see, especially compared with the new Thing, that there is like a really marked difference between the vibes of those two movies. That like in the 50s and the early 60s, in the horror of those movies, science is trusted. The assumption is that the world is knowable and that horrible things are within it, but our wonderful scientists and the military are going to figure it out, so don't worry.
Someone's in charge.
Someone's in charge, yeah. And that kind of goes away with the growing distrust in the late 60s and 70s with authority. So abjection is most famously described by Julia Kristeva. I've got a quote from her here. "It is not a lack of cleanliness or health that causes abjection, but what disturbs identity, system, order, what does not respect borders, positions, rules, the in-between, the ambiguous, the composite, an element of the human that is neither us nor not us, neither inside nor outside, and therefore destabilizing to the boundaries that define us." So this is the reason that marginalized communities of all kinds are often abjected. Women are often abjected. So like this movie being as female as it is really interesting to me here, because it's like, this is still like a heavily male-gazed movie. Like all these women are very attractive. They've all got this like very 70s glam makeup. They've all got their hair set. Like they're very attractive in a very modern way. And that combined with the kind of
the men look like a
tradition.
bunch of men in a 70s movie.
Yeah. They're a bunch of old, old
bunch of
Scottish
Wallace
fuckers.
Shawns and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No shade on Wallace Shawn.
Oh, please.
Who's great.
And so that's where the unsettledness at the end of this movie, I think, is coming from, is that it's like this island is full of people who are 1,000% comfortable in who they are and are not interested in, nor are they subject to the opinions of anybody else who believes differently. Yeah. And that's what's freaky about this, that like nobody's coming to save him. Everybody on the island is happy by the end of this, which itself I think is a huge difference between this and the 2006 version.
Dan, you said something earlier about how human sacrifice is like objectively wrong.
Yes.
Let's unpack that.
I don't feel like that's what I need to spend a whole lot of time defending. So I'm gonna pass the conch to you to make the argument that like sometimes human sacrifice works.
Well, this is something I've been thinking about a lot, in that like you have these. There's two things I want to cover. One of them is a tangent, so I'll cover the one directly related first, which is that like in the language of the movie, all of the things on the island that are unusual are presented as very normal and usual for the island people. Everything from the sort of like lawn orgy to what I think was masturbating on the grave zone, the song about how much fun it is to have sex with the innkeeper's daughter, to like the human sacrifice and the weird costume thing, and like everything is very otherly but not bad. That's one of the things that I think, to your point that you just made with the abjection, like is really cool, is that like how well they build more and more on like, you know, it starts when he lands, when he's like, hey, can I get a dinghy? And they're like, no. Like, even that is not the normal response that would happen, but it's normal in the context of the island. And it just keeps building and building and building until you get to the human sacrifice. And for me, like, watching that, you know, I didn't have that reaction of like, oh, that's objectively wrong. And then secondarily, the sort of tangent point that I think relates this to a broader aspect is I've been thinking a lot about layoffs lately. Because I really like video games.
Yeah.
And as of right now, July 17th, 2026, something like 1/2 of all video game industry professionals are out of work because of corporate layoffs.
Yeah, Microsoft basically fired half the people who make video games.
Mariana and I, like, I think off of the podcast, we've talked about the modern sort of Wall Street stock market as just as like a cult in the classic sense.
Yeah.
It feels like we still do a lot of human sacrifice.
Oh, 100%.
It's just been sort of represented away into like firing. Like if you sacrifice enough people, then the mystical gods of the market will like bestow favor upon your company. And I wonder...
I would... Okay, so I would contest two things. One, I would hazard that extending that metaphor to the stock market with any... I would put one more step in between that.
I know the step. The step is...
The step is the cult of the warrior.
Oh, interesting.
I believe in jumping, so I would just...
That I would say that the stock market and its feelings about layoffs and whatnot is derivative from the modern hegemony's feeling about the warrior, about the soldier. And
I completely agree.
I think we have, like, if I was to say that we have human sacrifice, I wouldn't abstract it to something like layoffs, which don't actually kill people. I would say it is the meat grinders that we keep sending children into.
I've been working in the background for several months on a big, long philosophy of predator video. And I know this is something that you've very recently touched upon, I think in Call of Duty, maybe? No.
I did make a video about Call of Duty, and I also made one about Jarhead. They're kind of companion videos. I was writing them at the same time.
So like this, and I think we talked about this on the podcast before as well, but like I am so fascinated by the conflation between business acumen and warrior status, because that is new. Yeah. Most of the time in most cultures, certainly in you know, Western Europe, in sort of like, you know, Western European medieval tradition that these guys are all so fixated on, the merchant class and the warrior class, these are not
very different things.
Enemies. I mean, yeah.
We did talk about that when we strongly advocated for a return to medieval caste systems.
Okay, great.
The merchants are on the bottom.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, there is like a spiritual, 1000% a spiritual aspect that has been sort of injected into our financial systems and the cultures that surround it, I think. The anthropological definition of a sacrifice is like pretty contested. Like there are some anthropologists that don't think that that's a useful term at all.
Sure.
But the definition that I prefer, that I think makes the most sense, is it's the murder of something where the intended spiritual outcome is supposed to affect the murderer. And I don't know what I think about that in terms of our current culture.
Like, at least when the Greeks did animal sacrifice, they had a big barbecue after, which I didn't know until college.
Gus, do you think it would be better if we just ate all the people we killed?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, most animal sacrifice throughout history has involved communal feast dimension to it.
I didn't realize that. Me and my like dumb little like teenage brain, I was like, yes, the Apollo one, the 100 cows one, hecta something. I was like, yes, they kill these animals and then just like leave them there.
Yeah, it's
And
actually
then
like
everything's good.
Like it's significant in the Hebrew Bible that I just completely spaced on the actual formal term. The main goat, like it's specifically called out. It's like, okay, like you're doing all the sacrifices, but this one just gets burned to a crisp. You know, nobody eats anything off of this one. This one just gets burned until there's nothing.
Yeah.
And that's called out because like that's important because the rest of them are like actually cooked and eaten and like distributed. And there's like a charity element to it, like, you know, feeding the poor and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Et cetera. You know, that it's like, okay, like the entire community,
And I think
the
that
entire
itself,
community
like,
comes
yeah,
and like
and that I
partakes
think definitely resembles the, you know, if we're going to talk about modern finance culture in these terms, I would argue that that's certainly what they're doing. You know, like in this sacrifice, we're making all this money. We're creating economic value and economic activity, and this is going to benefit everyone. You know, the stock gods are happy.
Good tangent, everybody.
Thank you.
Good tangent.
Yes, well done, Gus.
Thank
I mean,
you.
I think this is also interesting to talk about because it's like a not uncommon position among scholars who, especially scholars who aren't film scholars, to not like folk horror very much because it's not actually about folk traditions.
Sure.
Like most of the stuff that's happening in this movie is not true to reality in terms of where this movie takes place and the kinds of stuff they're doing. All that stuff comes from all over Western or Northern Europe, not just Scotland. Like the Wicker Man itself is like, it's really up in the air if that's something that ever existed or whether it was just something that like the Romans made up to frame all the Western Europeans as barbarians. It's so unclear. And so I think that's silly. We're talking about movies. Like the point of Titanic is not to teach you about the history of the Titanic.
I mean,
the point of
James
folk horror is
Cameron
not
tried
to,
really hard though.
He tried,
That
but
one, there's probably better examples to grab than like a James Cameron
No,
movie
I
where like
just-
he's like,
Saving
I
Private
invented the man legitimately became an expert in submarines to make that movie.
and yet nobody goes to watch
yet-
Titanic because they want to learn about the Titanic, you know?
Right, because the studio made him re-edit it into a love story.
Yeah.
Is
Can
that
I
what
offer
happened?
a counterpoint?
Please.
I studied in high school when I took AP European history. The way I studied is I played all 3 of the Ezio Assassin's Creed video games.
Yeah.
And I got a 5.
Yeah.
So some people do turn to entertainment media to learn.
You learn a lot about the Borgias. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why sort of that element, whereas we talked about this a few minutes ago, would be that like explicitly within the movie, like what Summer Isle and his patriarchs have built is a pastiche. Like
Yes.
it is an artificial pastiche, and it is acknowledged to be an artificial pastiche within the diegesis of the film.
Yeah. Given that, I think it's silly to quibble about the accuracy of the Wicker Man. Let's get it together.
Yeah. And the fact that it's inauthentic, that it is manufactured, is not irrelevant, right? It's not just like a
Not at
throwaway line. It's very important to Howie pointing at Summer Isle and saying like this machine that you built will consume you next. If a representative of the king is not good enough, how do you escalate? And the only way up from there is you. And you built that. You built
and that's
that.
a
You
that's a
made
meta
that.
statement. That applies to everything. That applies to every structure of manufactured hierarchy that gets too big for its britches, which I think we're seeing now in many vectors. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I think it's not necessarily like, it's not a page turner.
Yeah, it's very
You know,
slow. It's a very
it's-
weirdly paced kind of
It's slow.
experience.
It's weirdly paced. You are feeling the constraints of the budget. You are feeling, the indiness of it.
There are some shots that just look bad. I guess they're
There
just
are
like
some,
not good
there
quality.
are some like deeply compromised shots where it's like, okay, you just did not have the light for this shot. You do need to set your expectations a little bit when watching it. It might be a little boring at times, but it is deeply compelling to talk about
Yeah.
and to think about.
I really like those kinds of, I don't want to call it sloppy, but that kind of like
Those rough edges, those,
I
Yeah.
really liked it. I
Yeah.
was listening to this like NPR conversation talking about basically like why Obsessions and Backrooms like did so well and beat the ever living shit out of like massive releases. And it was saying like, which I broadly agree with, that studio movies have gotten too
good, too polished. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over.
That it doesn't.
Yeah. They're polished to a mirror shine, and they're just like they're utterly frictionless.
Yeah, and it's like we talked about this a couple episodes ago on something where it's like seeing the effort that people put into things is valuable in addition to the end product.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Like seeing the paint strokes on, I think I said a Van Gogh painting.
Yes.
Is like, makes the overall end product that
it's
much
important
more
that you
valuable.
know this was made by a human being with their own perspective.
And you can really see that in this film. It's been very, very nice for me, someone who's very disheartened about modern studio filmmaking, to be able to like go back and see movies like before they could replace the Wicker Man with like some CGI thing for cost purposes.
Yeah, I mean, it's what makes
nice.
the Batman like the best cape slop movie ever. Is that it's a movie that you sit there and you watch and you're like, this was made by people.
Yeah.
They actually blew up at least 4 cars for this shot.
It's like, and it's like,
20
okay, they
cars.
blew some stuff up, but like, it's like humans sat down and were like, oh, you know what would be really cool right now? You know what would look sick? You know what would be a lot of fun? Oh, you know what would really sell this? There was human decision making at every step. There are moments where you can tell one person in the creative pipeline had seen the cathedral and had to tell everyone else, no, shut up. It will make sense once it's done. Like, just, stop arguing with me. I have seen the cathedral. I know what is on the other side of the veil. Once it is built, you will understand what I am trying to do, but you need to trust me that it's going to work.
That's the kind of thing that Disney used to do really well.
Well.
That
I miss Katzenberg.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm a fan. I can't help it.
I mean, it's important that even if the movie itself is not fun or you're not having a very good time, as is often the case in horror, it's important, I think, that you feel as if somebody had fun making it.
Yeah.
If not everybody. Ideally, everybody is having fun. Ideally, everybody is like getting that kind of really almost spiritual energy from making this thing. Like they're making it because they don't want to do anything else, not because they're
Christopher Lee
getting
probably
paid.
had a ball, and objectively, some of his shoot days must have been just like physically miserable. And very clearly, he loved being miserable to make this.
Yeah.
He was so much fun to watch.
He's such an artist.
in this movie.
God
I
bless
wrote
Christopher
down one
Lee.
of my notes.
Rest his
I
soul.
wrote, I really want to watch the rest of his filmography.
He's amazing. One of the greats.
Yeah, he was in this great little trilogy. Came
Star
out
Wars.
about 22 years ago.
He actually wasn't in the theatrical release of Return of the King, so
That is true.
Was he not?
No.
The part where he falls off?
Yeah, he and Peter
in-
Jackson kind of ended on bad terms because of that. Yeah. It's okay, they made up for The Hobbit. Which is like, it's almost worth having The Hobbit just to know that
They patched it up,
yeah, they patched it up. Y'all want to talk about the new one?
Yes, but before we do that, big shout out brought to you by our patrons, Laka Malai Escamilla. You can pick which one of those works. Space Cowboy just works. Pitate, but I'm pretty sure that P is a Greek letter, but I forget which one. Poetry and Costume, and then the rest of them I've already done. Thank you, people, patrons. Thank you so much. You're lovely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would argue the Wicker Man 2006 is the gas station dick pill of movies.
Yeah, gross.
I will not explain further.
No, it makes perfect sense.
No, it was really bad, but it was bad in a way that I remember a lot of like mid 2000s movies being bad, and I don't remember that era well enough to like talk about why.
Yeah.
We mentioned this in a recent episode also, that when I watched Predator versus Alien 2 for the first time, which I had never seen, the only movie that's worse ever is Predators, which came out a few years later.
What? No, you're gonna. Okay, no. Okay, there is a. This means that you are putting Predator singular above both Predators and AVP2. That is insane. You are saying
is?
that
Predator is a
the
good
first
movie. What are you
movie?
talking about? Yeah, the
Predator
first
1?
movie.
No, not the first movie.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I forgot the Predator.
Oh my God, you're so right.
Autism
No,
is the
you're so right.
next
You're so right.
phase
You're so
of
right. No,
human
it's
evolution.
yes, no,
Like-
it's the Predator. It's the Predator. Oh my God. Oh, what an embarrassment.
I'm like, Predators is not a good movie, but Predators
No.
has the absolutely amazing, like, come with me if you want to live.
People complained about Badlands being like the Marvelization of Predator. No.
No.
It's the Predator. That's the Marvelization of Predator.
Oh God.
So I think AVP2 came out in like around this time. I think it came out in 2005, and my partner came home, and I was like, "Did you know this movie is awful? I really did not enjoy my time watching this." He was like, "Yeah, don't you remember there was like 5 years where just movies were just bad?
Movies were
we
bad,
all
yeah.
accepted it. Movies were just bad."
Yeah, you had really good indie movies coming out. Like you had you had Juno, you had Lost in Translation, you had that whole wave of stuff.
Shakespeare
but like
in Love.
Yeah, Shakespeare in Love.
That's a few years earlier. But
Oh, is it?
Oh, it's still
that's
good.
98, isn't it?
that's 98.
2001, I thought. Am I stupid?
Came out in 99, won the Oscar in 2000.
Oh, okay.
I am stupid. God damn it.
You're not stupid, Gus. Don't worry.
I said 2001, and I was like,
you're usually smarter
that's
than me.
too close to 9/11. The universe would not have allowed Shakespeare in Love within a year of 9/11.
Yeah, you had really good stuff coming out of, Searchlight and Focus. That tier of movie was like making money. It wasn't just winning awards. Like people were going and seeing them. Like my dad went and saw Lost in Translation in a movie theater. So yeah, like we had that phase, and like mainstream movies were garbage. And that's part of why like Iron Man was such a breath of fresh air, is that it was like, a big mainstream movie that's fast paced, funny, looks great, charismatic leads, and a story that you can understand.
Yeah. Shot well.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that to happen again in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, once everything collapses,
Iron Man 2,
Can't happen
baby.
soon enough.
We might get around to that in a little while after Doomsday doesn't make
Doomsday's the
$1
end.
trillion. The articles are going to write themselves.
Yeah.
Doomsday is
so-
going to come out. It's going to make a lot of money, but it's not going to make
not
enough
gonna make
money.
enough,
And it just immediate think pieces. Marvel's Doomsday? Doomsday for superhero movies? Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to another podcast. What was it? The Big Picture? That's a movie podcast.
Yeah, it is.
And they were talking about Moana, which we just did an
Yikes.
episode on. And they were like, Moana bombed. Disney's losing $100 million.
Yeah.
And everyone in the entertainment industry is ecstatic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it
Yeah, nice.
it
Thank
bombed,
God.
and it looks awful.
It's so
like
ugly.
visually awful.
It's not.
How do you
good.
make the South Pacific look bad? I don't
Yeah.
understand it. It's like they tried.
Well, you do
know?
I told you. Everything that they shot on location, there was like one beach, and they put a fucking, I don't know this for sure, but they put a stupid green screen on the back, and then all of the interesting places, you could tell it was that like Disney LED screen that they used for the Mandalorian that
his
makes
volume.
the Mandalorian look terrible. I hate it.
So, Wicker Man 2006.
Yay!
So,
I love this
Wicker-
movie.
Wicker Man 2006. Let me tell you a little bit about 2006. NASA, remember NASA? They launch a probe to Pluto, which ends up arriving in 2015. It's a 9.5-year journey from Earth to Pluto. I learned as I did research for this.
I
The
was
US
ecstatic about both stages of that because I'm fully an adult by now.
Yeah.
So I remember they launched the probe, and then we finally got the photos back, and I got to be like, oh man, I remember when they launched that. That's really cool. Yeah.
I started in 2006. I think I started middle school. And then in 2015, I was a junior in college.
I had just graduated, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's fun. The U.S. is still in Iraq and Afghanistan, even though we just toppled Saddam Hussein. As a matter of fact, that toppling sort of triggers a civil war in Iraq, which is a whole thing. Twitter launches. Serbia and Montenegro split to become the countries of Serbia and also separately Montenegro. Some stuff happens between Israel and Hamas. Some stuff happens between Israel and Hezbollah. Nothing changes. Steve Irwin dies.
Oh,
No.
sad. Rip.
Google buys YouTube. No.
Also bad.
Future billionaire Taylor Swift debuts her first album. No. Saddam Hussein is executed. The Wii comes out, and also the PS3 comes out. Remember the Wii? You remember Wii Sports? You remember that first like 3 months when the Wii came out?
It was a fun time.
I'm looking at a Wii. I've got a Wii right over there.
It was the peak of there's probably a term for this for like, gaming that you participate in with your body. It's never gotten better. That was it.
Kinect and the Wii, kinetic gaming was the rage. We were leading into a relatively short-lived era of kinetic gaming with the Wii, with Rock Band, with Guitar Hero. I mean, that had started
Revolution.
by now. Yeah.
I can I tell you something? I am so good at Dance Dance Revolution, specifically because I played so much of it at my local movie theater when I was in middle school. I was like one of those kids, and it's like riding a bike. You never get any worse.
Yeah, so Dance Dance Revolution, like really like it hits big in the 90s, in the late 90s, like 98. And it hangs around, but like, so we're entering the era of like home kinetic gaming. It's popular enough that like people are buying plastic instruments and a Wii and whatnot instead of, it's like, you don't need to like go to the arcade.
Can I tell you the sheer joy of going to like a party in middle and high school and then someone busts out the Rock Band peripherals?
Yeah.
And it's like the next hour and a half are going to be just heavenly. I still had problems with sharing back then. So like roughly 30% of the time I'd start throwing a tantrum if I had to give up my guitar. But once I got over that, it was great. And then the UK in 2006 finally pays off its World War II debt to the United States.
Oh my God.
It only took 61 years. The top 10 grossing movies of 2006.
This isn't one of them.
No, believe it or not, The Wicker Man 2006 did not beat out Happy Feet, which was number 10. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, number 1. The Da Vinci Code, number 2. Ice Age, The Meltdown, number 3. Casino Royale, the first Daniel Craig James Bond movie, number 4. Night at the Museum, classic.
Wait, the first one?
The first one, 2006, was like the 5th highest.
I thought that was like
no. The Da Vinci Code.
I'm more like one should have. It's like
down.
In my brain, that one's earlier. That's like a 2004 movie.
I don't think
if
so.
you had, I mean, clearly, like you're reading a list and you're right. I'm just saying that, like, if I had guessed, if we had like, if you start saying like Night at the. Finish the sentence, I would have been like Museum 2. We're in sequel territory. We're in the dredges of, yeah.
I remember I liked My Night at the Museum because it had all of the comedians that the adults really liked, but then I could watch it.
Sure.
Like it was Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Robin Williams, others. I think Thomas Lennon wrote that movie. Who wrote the Herbie movie.
Really?
He fully wrote it. I think. It was either he wrote that one or the sequel. Him and his writing partner. Cars is number 6.
Weird movie. Y'all seen Cars lately? It's not very good.
X-Men The Last Stand. Mission Impossible 3. My favorite Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Superman Returns. And then Happy Feet, which I always really liked because there's tap dancing.
Also a weird movie. Happy Feet's a weird movie.
Superman Returns is also a weird movie.
Also a weird movie.
A lot of weird movies. Wasn't that like Brendan something?
Yes.
The guy
Brendan
who played,
Ruth.
who played the Atom in the Arrowverse.
Yeah, and he, Brendan Ruth, I think, does like a decent job with what he's given. The problem is he's not given much, and the whole movie is a bizarre quasi sequel / homage to the 1970s, 1980s Supermans.
Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Yeah, the Reeves Supermans without really like it makes some just like weird choices, and also the director bad.
Who's the director?
Why did I literally had it in my head like a second ago.
Dan, keep in that silence.
Oh no. The singer. Bryan Singer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, really bad.
Director bad indeed. So let me here's a quickish synopsis of The Wicker Man from 2006. Starts a little earlier than the first movie in a diner.
Yeah, and the really
Nicolas
baffling
Cage-
first shot. Whatever.
So, can I tell you something? I saw that first shot. The first shot that I remember, it's like kind of a straight-on shot on the edge of a diner. You've got the people you got the customers on the left. You've got the most obvious day player actress I've ever seen on the right. No offense to her. The guy on the left who's like, he looks like a trucker, but what he actually looks like is like a Broadway dancer dressed up as a trucker.
Sure.
He wipes his mouth and gets up, and then the girl on the left starts talking and forgets to like pause between thoughts, so she delivers it like, like a third grader at like they're doing their third play.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's slow enough that you can hear the words, but they forget to like act.
Yeah.
And then it's
That's going to be a running theme through this movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so I shouldn't even blame her, because since it's everybody does
this.
I think it's a director problem.
It is. Yeah. Nicolas Cage is the only person who doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Because he's doing something completely different.
He's in his own world.
And then she's like, "What's your friend doing?" And then the cop turns around and there's Nick Cage looking at like a brochure or something.
Yeah, he's looking at like books, and he looks at a VHS tape.
Is that what it was?
He picks up a VHS tape called Everything's Gonna Be All Right.
Oh, that's what it is. And it's like a culty thing, but it's not even the cult that he ends up
Oh, no.
No, it's just like some
It's just a
self-help.
separate. So I saw, as soon as that Broadway actor dressed as a trucker stood up, I wrote, "Oh no, it's immediately terrible."
It
on
is.
my notes.
Indeed.
Right off the bat. Not a strong opening. Guess what? It only gets worse. Nick Cage, as a motorcycle cop, pulls over a car after a girl like tosses her doll out the window and then returns the doll. And then out of nowhere, a truck crashes into the car and explodes. Everybody dies except for Nick Cage. As he's like recovering, he gets like a letter from his ex-fiance, right? Or his
Yes.
his partner gives him the letter.
It is from his ex-fiance, and it's like
Yeah.
it's like script. It's like calligraphy written on papyrus or some shit.
Yeah.
It looks like it's 300 years
Vellum.
old. It's like Civil War letter type aesthetic. It's very strange.
My dear Bartholomew,
Yeah.
it is with a heavy heart that I must inform you the men have had to eat the horses again.
And the letter says basically what the letter said in the original movie. The fiance's name is Willow. The daughter's name is still Rowan. Has disappeared off like on this cult island in Washington. So Nick Cage goes to the island. People are being
really
cagey.
quickly. The landlord's this is basically the landlord's daughter. The landlord's daughter is also named Willow, and this is the sort of they've just made her into a fiance now.
Right, an ex-fiance.
An ex-fiance. Yeah.
Ex-fiance. So Nick Cage goes to the island. People being real cagey about the missing girl, pretending she doesn't exist. Basically everything that they did in the original,
But bad.
But so much
really bad.
So much worse.
Can I just jump on this point, because it's not really relevant, but it's like, but we're talking about it right now, which is that the contrast between the two movies is that everybody in the first movie, they're not being cagey, they're just their answers are frustrating. Whereas everybody in the second movie is clearly lying, is visibly, obviously lying. Like they're not saying something that's it's not a cultural disconnect. It's not a like thing of meaning. It's just like people in the second movie are visibly lying to him and are giving him the runaround, where the people in the first movie are like, some of them are giving him the runaround, but also he's a bigger prick. It makes, it's like, no, it's a very, there's a very different like texture to how people lie to the police officer in the two movies.
There's a great line. There's a great line that the innkeeper gives, who's like a very angry woman, where Nick Cage comes up and he's like, "I'm a cop, I'm here on official business," and she goes, "Official California business?" Because this is
such
Washington.
a great line,
and I'm like, that's
it's like
the
poking
end
a
of the
huge
movie.
hole in like I guess this is another thing like that I'm just gonna like barrel into right now, is that like huge difference between the movies is that Nick Cage is just like, he's gone rogue. Like
Yeah.
this is just
He has
like
no authority
He has no
there.
authority here. He is not here on official business. He has decided to come here for himself. And now there's a reason why they're doing that, which is that it's like, oh well, if he's gone rogue, then truly like no one knows where he's going. No one's going to come investigate. They're just going to be like, wow, missing person. But also like, I don't know, maybe he went and killed himself because bad things were happening in his life. They'll just sort of explain it away. So like they're trying to do that. But in doing that, they make the movie worse.
I actually wrote like when they made it the ex-fiance, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's like an interesting way to make the main character, personal stakes, etc. And then everything that you said happened, and I was like, oh, bad call. So being really, there are Willow, the fiance, convinces him to keep looking. There are some profoundly stupid jump scares.
The one where he dreams about like finding Rowan in the water and then goes down and then he wakes up and then he wakes up again.
And then wakes up with her in his arms and then wakes up.
Yeah. The one where he like falls through the barn roof for no reason. They changed there's a scene in the schoolhouse in the original where he's like, that empty desk is clearly Rowan's, and he opens it up and there's a beetle tied to a string around a nail going around in circles, and it's really weird and off-settling. And then in this movie he opens it up and a fucking crow flies out and scares you. That was stupid. I wrote like there are some profoundly stupid jump scares, like bad satire level jump scares.
Yeah.
Like with jump scares that like I would expect to see in like Scary Movie 3.
Yeah. Like waking up from a dream to wake up from a dream to wake up from a dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say
But
though,
played
like
seriously.
Cage's reaction at the end of that waking up from the dream, like I like that he's like, fuck, like God damn it.
It keeps happening. Like someone who like just can't stop dropping their phone.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of his attitude throughout the whole thing.
This is around the point where I wrote, this is ass in my notes. What happens then? He meets the queen of the island, whose name is also Summer Isle.
It's Summer's Isle in
Summer's
this
Isle.
one, which is, it's dumb.
I thought I misheard that because I was like, surely it can't be that bad, but I was wrong. He digs up Rowan's grave and finds something. I kind of checked out.
Burnt doll.
Yeah, it's
Was
the
it-
doll,
it's a-
right?
It's a burnt doll in this
Yeah.
one.
It's the doll.
Why is it burnt? Yeah.
Why is it burnt? Why is it burnt?
Yeah. And that's the doll from the
No one
girl.
cares.
Okay.
Somewhere, who gives a...
Yeah. There's some weird stuff. He keeps investigating. There's this bee motif that starts showing up more and more. More stupid jump scares.
Yeah, their whole crop here is bees, and their bees are failing, and that's
it's honey instead of fruit.
instead of apples. Yeah, and that's important because barrel into my thesis about this whole movie. Like like the bees are important because bees are of course ruled by a queen, and this entire movie is just a gender anxiety movie. About,
Yes.
about, like
it's it's the queen,
women.
all the female worker bees, all the men are drones, and then they by the end of the movie they're actually like saying those words.
The drone must die.
The drone must die.
Yeah. Stupid jump scares again, and then basically it's the same as the first one, except there's this crazy part where like after Nick Cage is captured, they like put a bee mask on his head and he screams.
Not
That's
the
a meme now.
bees. Yep.
Yeah.
It's great. That scene is also great too because you can tell that they just like they took the one bee animation and just like copy paste like 35 times and just laid it on top of his face. We're done for the day.
That's where, and then the thing burns. That's where it ends in the unrated version. Apparently, in the theatrical release, there's like one of those, and the horror continues as like Willow and another girl like go to a mainland bar to hook up with their next
With James Franco.
victim, who's James Franco.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I rewatched the theatrical for this one, and the thing is that end bit is so bad and so superfluous, like it's so vestigial that it feels like the kind of thing that should be in the like bloated DVD unrated extended edition, but it is in the theatrical, and I was blown away. I had forgotten that that is an element where the DVD version has more restraint and more like, hey, this scene, it blows. Let's cut it. That's wild,
It's a
especially
bad
in the
Yeah.
era of like, because we are in peak like extended edition unrated cut era where like the home releases are all just like 20 minutes longer.
3.5 hour Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, except those are good extended.
Those are
It's true.
those.
It's
Yeah,
true.
they were good, and so they started a wave of everybody riding the trend.
Everybody having these crazy, behind the scenes documentaries.
Yeah. The most important thing to note about this movie is it is really boring.
Yeah.
It's I'm going to disagree, but that's only because I love bad movies and I think they're fascinating.
I love bad movies, and this is one that like every time I watch it, I'm like, God, I forgot how like on bulk boring this movie is. It's really fun to riff on. It's really fun to like to make fun of, but actually watching it alone is suffering.
It's terrible.
And I say
It's
that as
really
someone
rough.
who's watched like some truly abysmal films.
Have you seen Mulan? The live action?
Oh, no, I don't. I've
You've
managed
not
to
gotten to
dodge
the
roll
bottom.
most of those. Yeah. I mean,
Fortunate
I'll sit through. We'll watch 70s schlock TNA films that just garbage, just thrown together dreck. Herschel Gordon Lewis movies.
Yeah.
I worked on a Herschel Gordon Lewis
But
movie.
at least you have a T. At least you have like the T and the A.
Yeah, you got like so
in Mulan, you don't have.
you don't
either.
have. Yeah, no.
You don't have either of that in this movie either, which is a marked difference between this one and the original.
Very disappointing.
This is not a sexy movie at all.
Not at
No.
all. Not in the slightest.
It's kind of the opposite of a sexy movie. In fact, it's like this is one of the things that the reason I think this movie is so fascinating, why I have a great time watching it, is because I think that just like every single scene is pointing toward the gender anxiety like baked into the whole structure of this movie. Like all of it.
I guess my issue with that is that like, okay, in the first movie you have this tension between Christianity and paganism, and really between empire and outside.
Colonies.
And here you've just got this like Reddit fedora tipper level, like, hey, so what if the genders were reversed? Yeah, what if women are in charge and things were still bad?
Wouldn't that
be wild?
Yeah, I mean, it's like this movie is about how afraid men are that women will treat them the way they treat women. That's the entirety of this movie.
That is, but it's also that thesis summary that you just did is so much more coherent than any thought that went through the screenwriter's head.
Oh no, Connor, 100%. No, this entire thing is just like
it's id.
Yeah, it's an emission of id. It's and like in that way, the first note I wrote was I watched earlier this year.
How could I be a misogynist? Look how many women I wrote into my movie.
Exactly, yeah. Earlier this year, I watched Return to Silent Hill, which is really terrible, and which I also kind of loved. and the reason I love Return to Silent Hill is like, it's not because it's a good movie, and it's not because anything it's doing is purposeful. It's just because it feels very much like it's taking place inside the main character's head. Like, it's not the reality of a situation, it's just the drama of how it feels to this particular kind of chud-like guy who's not very intelligent. Like, this is how it feels to him as a memory, you know? Like, he thinks he's the hero. He is like approaching this as like a rescuer of children and protector of women, and that is the character that Nick Cage is playing, you know?
Yeah.
And like,
there's an amazing scene where like, I think the clearest that this tension shows in the movie is a scene where like Nick Cage runs into the bar to like all the men, and he's just like, men, rise up, shake off your chains.
And they've all got their tongues cut out or
They've
something.
all got their tongues cut out. They're all just like,
Because that's
they
what
just
women
sit
would
there
do,
like
obviously.
a bunch of, they just sit there like a bunch of cucks. And he's like, but like, it's the degree to which like the character's logic is just like, we got to set things right. We got to put men back in charge. Come on, guys, let's do it. Let's get back in charge. Why are you not?
There's that one part, and I don't know if I'm remembering it correctly, but he's like searching through Summer Ziles's house, and he opens the door, and there's like the old man with with like a bunch of nipples on his body.
Oh, he's got like boils and sores or something. Yeah.
I thought they were nipples, and I rewound it 3 times, and I was like, I guess there's some weird inbreeding going on. So I missed that one. Cool.
It's
cool.
It is terrible.
It's so bad.
And that's like why this movie is not scary in any way, right? Like there is no abjection in this movie. Like the cool thing about folk horror is like, you know, that like there are some themes to how folk horror is always shot, that like it's always shot in daytime. This is why when we'll get to Texas Chainsaw Massacre one of these, I'm going to put you through that.
No, we won't.
Yes, we will.
No,
we will. And
I don't think he'll actually be able to handle Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The original? Yeah, no. I
it's
think
rough.
I think that might actually do damage to Gus.
Fun fact about Texas Chainsaw Massacre: it is one of the top 10 favorite American movies of Oscar-nominated screenwriter and one of the teachers of my graduate program, Phyllis Nodge.
Then you should see it.
It's a fabulous, like it's an amazing, important movie.
It is.
But you're gonna have a bad time.
But it's
gonna be so
spooky.
fun
It is
for me.
actually.
Listen,
It is actually spooky. It's very
when
spooky.
I saw Weapons in the theater, I only had to step out for 15 minutes.
Which 15 minutes? I'm so curious.
I missed the entire section of the principal.
Oh.
I missed the whole thing.
Oh dear. Well, I mean,
and I didn't need it at all.
Okay, Weapons is longer than I remember. I mean, it moves at such a good pace that I'm like,
it does not
8
feel
minutes.
like, you know,
It
2
might
hours,
have been
20
less
minutes
than
or how long
15.
it is.
It's 2 hours and 20
no,
minutes.
2 hours and 9.
2 hours and 9, okay.
Oh, I for sure was out for 15 minutes.
Anyway, all this is to say, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre can arguably, be counted as a folk horror movie because of how it's shot.
Well, I mean, I would on a lot of like I would just straight up argue that it's folk horror about the idea of the American, like the white underclass, the white rural, forgotten, like on the margins, Appalachia, the hillbilly.
Oh yeah. I live.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah. I live about 15 minutes where it was shot. Nothing's changed. It's the same.
Yeah.
And so, like, there is no abjection in this version of the movie. Like, it's still shot in the daytime, great. But like the
women are still hot.
The women are still hot, great. But like the hotness of the women is not what is like tormenting him, though, and that's important because like it matters that Sergeant Howie has never fucked. Sergeant Howie is not a sexual being. And so arriving on this island with all these specifically women who not only know about sex, but are completely comfortable describing it, assigning symbolism and meaning to it, owning it themselves. Like that's where the abjection comes from. And here...
And there isn't that.
No.
They just don't... They just kind of cut all the...
Oh, they're kind of like school marmish. Like, there's no joy here at all. Like, they're not having a good time.
They're as sexless as bees.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Before I knew this was a B movie, when we see Willow for the first time, I wrote down, oh no, Willow got stung on the lips.
Did you all see...
her fillers are so bad.
Did you all see 28 Years Later, the first one?
No.
Yes.
There's a really funny scene.
No, obviously no.
I loved both of the 28 Years movies,
so
by the
good.
way. They were really good.
So good.
I did
think
not.
they're 28 Days Later.
I started 28 Years Later, and I was like, oh, I'm having a good time. This is good. I did not expect to be just like bawling my eyes out.
I think they're going to be kind of definitive of 2020's filmmaking. I think they're doing something really, really interesting.
Yeah, no, fabulous
Yeah,
films.
yeah. Alex Garland wrote them. I have a complicated relationship with that guy.
Yeah.
So there's a scene in 28 Years Later, Gus, where the kid, like this like Swedish soldier has gotten stranded on this island, and he's showing like a photo of his girlfriend to this kid who's never left the island, and she's like the most sort of, pharmaceutically enhanced, like Instagram girl you've ever seen, and the kid's like, what's wrong with her lips? We've got a girl in our village whose lips look like that every time she eats shellfish. Is that what's going on with her? It's very funny.
No, I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was funny when I wrote it down.
Because it is quite funny.
Thank you. I was trying to find a place to put it in.
Also, her in a movie of terrible performances, of poorly directed actors, in a movie of poorly directed, because like we've got a lot of performers in this, particularly on the women's side, who like we know these people are talented because we've seen them in other films where they do
Conroy
a great job.
Is such a good actor. Yeah.
All of them are awful. But Willow in particular is like singularly terrible.
It's a direction problem.
Yeah. And like she is directed to behave as though she just slammed 2 Valium and a whiskey.
Yeah, she is. And like, I mean, that I think is in service of the director's, in my opinion, like pretty misogynist goal of setting her up as like just the ultimate feminine betrayer. That like, how dare you, lure in this poor hero of a man with your promises of love and vulnerability and then turn on him in this way,
But that works 0% because she just looks like, because she behaves stoned out of her gourd, confused, disoriented, delirious, to the point where it's like, okay, Nick, maybe you should be, it's like, do you have heat stroke right now? Like, you should be seriously concerned about her health. Like, she is so out of it. The fact that he doesn't acknowledge that she is altered, visibly altered, is like, all right, that's on you, dude. You're trying to communicate with a drunk person.
It's like what is reading to the director as sort of feminine vulnerability is not coming through, and that's because he's not thinking of women as people in this movie.
So this director, his name is Neil LaBute, playwright, screenwriter, director, etc. He's not bad at directing, I think. I don't know if I've seen his other movies, but a lot of them are quite good. His debut was a movie called In the Company of Men, which was like a 97 Sundance winner, I think.
Yeah, that's also good. Accused of being very, very, very misogynistic. I'm not sure I agree.
It's very, but it's a good movie. It's not.
I think this is the only, and I'm putting this in heavy quotations, horror end quotations movie that he's ever made. So I think part of it is like he doesn't know how to direct horror.
No,
he just doesn't know.
And he just doesn't understand what this movie is about. He doesn't understand what folk horror is about. He doesn't understand what the original Wicker Man is about. He thinks,
well, he might understand folk horror because he was a Mormon for a little bit.
He does not. He does not understand. What is it that he's not understanding? Somebody help me out.
He doesn't actually understand anything about gender dynamics, which means that trying to create a power fable around gender doesn't, like, he can't do it.
I mean, it's go ahead.
The power dynamics of the original, especially because like so much of this movie just like lifts lines from the original, is that it's like they try to just map it 1-to-1, and it's like, no, these are the dynamics are completely different, and you don't understand why why does Summerisle have power in the first one? Well, why does he have power? You understand why Christopher Lee has power over his population, because the system has brought them wealth and happiness and a freedom from inhibition. It's brought them bacchanalia. There's probably a lot going on under the surface that's not great, but there's a very clear reward structure. And And
Yeah.
the whole thing is set in motion because the reward structure is falling apart. Whereas the kind of population that he's trying to depict, which is this very like Amish, Mormon, conservative, cloistered group, you know, just swapped for matriarchy. That's a very different power dynamic, and the relationship that they have with the outside is very different, especially because like it's effectively flipped in regards to the fact that like that form of conservatism is Howie.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah,
it's just the
exactly.
extreme expression of the mainstream back on the mainland.
Oh, the idea that this like animistic divine feminine society would also be eugenicist is like so,
would be eugenicist, would basically like everybody would dress like Quakers. It ends up being this like incoherent sort of like
yeah. It's also like I think, you know, because of that lack of abjection, because you know, whoever Nick Cage's character is called, I don't know. I've also checked out super hard.
I just called him Nick Cage.
Okay.
yeah.
So like he arrives at that place and immediately it's clear to him what's happening, and that's why in the end he just can't stop punching women in the face. It's his favorite thing to do in the world, is to punch
Yeah.
women in the face. And the entire structure of the original is set up as a joke at Howie's expense. That's why he's dressed as Punch the Fool. He's an idiot in the end,
And not dressed like a bear.
not dressed like a bear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a completely different, you know, sacrificial tradition. And so much of the original movie, like, you kind of get the idea that if he would just fuck, then they wouldn't sacrifice him, you know? And the fact that he doesn't give in to the landlord's daughter.
It's just a little bit less of a narc.
Yeah. It's just like, if you could just have some
Not
fun.
even not a narc, just less of a narc.
And
Yeah.
so it's like his this sort of like, you know, arrogant, studious avoidance of fun is kind of the thing that makes him into a fool in the end. And in this one, Nick Cage just is the thing he thinks he is. And so it's like, it's structured as a tragedy instead of a farce. And
Yeah.
therefore it's not creepy. Because
Yeah. I mean, and
This is
also
not fun
like,
to
so
watch.
Nick Cage is not he's not even a good representation of like the patriarchy. He's
Cage.
just kind of a meathead.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
he's
like,
like, he's the kind of guy that like ICE agents imagine themselves to be, you know?
Sure.
He thinks he's morally upright. He thinks he's out there defending the people, you know?
Yeah, but like he's not actually in a meaningful position of power. He's not actually like authorized to be here. He has to like infiltrate at every step of the process. All of his threats of authority ring hollow. The movie has the bad sense to like put a lampshade on that. That is like, you're not even in you're a beat cop. You're
The
a
horror, like, it seems to me like that, like, the horror that the director thinks is inherent in here is that he fails in the end. You know, that like he is ultimately sacrificed and the horrible matriarchy won, and ooh, isn't that scary?
Yeah,
you know,
I found a movie phone interview from like 2006 with the worst camera work I've ever seen. And Neil said that his version, this is a paraphrase, but his version is heavily inspired by the original in that it has the same overall story with the policeman like finding the girl, but the way that they get there is very different. So I think that there's some credence to that he maybe wasn't really considering a lot of the big elements of
seems
this.
to
Like
be
one
the
of the core points of the Wicker Man is that it's British.
Yeah.
right?
Like you
right.
can't, that tension between like the paganism, even though it's constructed, the paganism and the Christianity doesn't work if you place it in a different
That's so true. That's
part of the
actually
world.
a really good point. Yeah, because like the paganism is constructed, but it is still reminiscent of the kind of paganism that did exist in Western Europe
Yeah.
at some point.
or at least that like that British or Scottish people like think existed before. And so like this version of Wicker Man is not like, it doesn't need to be set in the US. Like there's
Yeah.
no reason that it's in Washington
Yeah, that's not
other
saying
than like,
anything.
oh well, it needs to be on an island and I want trees in
Yeah.
it.
So
Like-
so basically he's constructed womanhood as a foreign culture. that given the chance would, oppress everybody in the same way that patriarchy does.
Yeah, I don't know if he got to that point. To me, it's like what's something weird? Oh well, we can't do pagans because like there's never been white pagans in the U.S. like sex stuff. I don't know. Like to me, it's like Deliverance. I haven't seen it, but I think
Deliverance fantastic
is like
movie.
To me, it's like Deliverance is American The Wicker Man.
Shit, I gotta see it.
Sure.
Is that you've seen Deliverance? I haven't. Is that at all? Right.
I mean, I would just reference back to our like previous conversation about Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You know that Deliverance is the same. Okay, so the root of American folk horror is that we came to this continent and we conquered it in a bloody push westward, and we won. But along the way,
we were in many ways the most successful conquerors of all time.
Yes. But along the way, we spread so fast and so far and so deep and so recklessly that we've kind of left scraps of ourselves everywhere. And those scrap, we hurled people into the wilderness with the sole goal of displacing those who were already here. And then we were just like, hey, you guys, here's a piece of paper that says you own land in that direction. Go.
And then we just
get
forgot
out of
about
our
them.
sight, and then we forgot about them. And what has happened to the things that we forgot about?
This is what The Hills Have Eyes is about also.
Yeah. Not to tangent too hard, but one of my favorite aspects of U.S. history to bring up is that very often whatever governing body there was in the colonies was like, please stop killing the natives. We have a truce with them. And then the people were like, no. We want one of the biggest ever American slave rebellions, Bacon's Rebellion, started because Nathaniel Bacon was told by like the colonial government of Virginia to stop killing the tribes. Like, that's their land, stop it. And he was like, no. And he gathered a bunch of poor whites, and then they freed a bunch of slaves, and then you had a wonderful mixed race army like burn down Jamestown.
It also helps. So in the formation of American folk horror, it also helps that the like crushing poverty of Appalachia is actually in fairly close geographical proximity to hubs of power. Like you can drive from Washington, D.C. to Lone Coning, West Virginia.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous
in an afternoon, and it is a fabulous drive. You'll go through Leesburg. You'll see like Maryland Narrows, like mind blowing terrain that you'll pass through. The oldest mountains on Earth.
West Virginia's the prettiest state.
It's so beautiful, but you will, in the course of a single afternoon, drive from like arguably the hub of global power to some of the most crushing poverty you will ever see.
And that, I mean, you're in Canada. That's a big country, but it's not super uncommon for nations this size. You can just kind of be forgotten about for a couple hundred years in places the United States. New Mexico is that way. Idaho is that way. Texas is that way.
And a lot of great American folk horror revolves around like, okay, you kind of get these two modes of it, right? You've got the one mode of like, okay, the things that we forgot, the people that we discarded because like once they had displaced the natives, their job was done and we didn't need them anymore. We were now, who cares about West Virginia? We're in Ohio, we're in Missouri, we're in Utah.
Yeah.
So the people that we've forgotten, and the other mode of American folk horror is the people who want it to be forgotten.
I considered, Gus, putting you through Straw Dogs. I won't do that to you, but
thank you.
That is a really good example of that, where like the original, and it'd be interesting to talk about. Funny Games also would be interesting to talk about, but nope. I won't just for you. But like,
you know what would be really interesting to talk about? WALL-E. Let's talk about WALL-E. Let's just do Pixar. Just to go over it real quick, the original director, like of the British version, whose name I forgot, not a fan of the remake.
Nobody's a fan. Christopher Lee was not either.
Christopher Lee was not a fan.
We didn't talk about the reception of this movie.
Oh, we did.
It was bad. Everybody made fun of it from the word go.
It got made about $39. It was a $40 million budget. Made about $39 million.
couldn't happen today.
You know Cinema Score?
Yeah.
Are we all familiar with Cinema Score? It got an F.
So just to explain,
almost unheard
to
of.
sum up to the audience, Cinema Score is a company that watches movies. Like basically, the people who made the movie prepare a pitch package for Cinema Score that is basically like, here's our target here's what we imagine we made. Here's the demographics that we're aiming for. Here's our here's our marketing materials, blah, blah, blah. And then Cinema Score, they go and they watch the movie and then they sit down and basically grade you on how well you did at appealing to your target audience.
I think Cinema Score polls people after they watch the movie.
Yes, and that is part of their process. Yes.
Okay.
Is that's part of how they evaluate. Okay, how good of a job did you do? So they're looking at who actually went and saw the movie, who within and how did people within the demographic and outside the demographic respond to it. And so an F is the people that you thought you were appealing to, it didn't appeal to them, and basically nobody liked it.
Just for context, the new Snow White movie, which was our least favorite film of last season.
And our first episode ever. It was a great inaugural episode. It's so
got a B+.
Oh my God.
Which Cinderella is that? Because
No,
Snow White. New Snow White. 2025
Snow White.
Mm-hmm.
The Maddie, Maddie Ziegler, Rachel Ziegler.
Yeah, Rachel Ziegler, and
Yeah. Okay.
What's her name?
That got So the fact that got a B+, that tells you that it's okay, Disney is our target audience is families with young children. Cinema Score was well, you didn't do a great job, but I don't know,
you passed.
kids
get degrees and you got a B+. So.
You got a B+. Kids sat through it. It's fine. A big old shrug.
I forgot to tell you guys last episode on our Moana episode. I watched Moana alone. My partner did not want to come with me, and so I sat next to this 8-year-old kid, and he fell asleep and asked his mom if they could leave. So
good, great. Critics also not a big fan. Nigel Floyd, writing for Time Out, said Neil LaBute's utterly misconceived remake of Robin Hardy's 1973 cult horror film is a boring, fright-free catastrophe, not least of which because of its half-cocked attempt to replace scriptwriter Anthony Schaefer's original conflict between po-faced Christianity and free-spirited paganism with his own sardonic take on the battle of the sexes, which is a much simpler version of what we've been talking about for the last 40 minutes.
That's a really good summary.
Neil Smith
read that at the top.
Neil Smith for BBC said, from the heavy-handed nods to the infinitely superior original to the comical lack of menace or peril, this Wicker Man is a calamity from start to finish. Dana Stevens for New York Times said, Mr. LaBute, never much of an artist with the camera, proves almost comically inept as a horror movie technician. It's neither haunting nor amusing, just boring. It was nominated for 5 Razzies.
Ugh. Well deserved.
Worst picture, worst remake, worst screenplay, worst actor, worst on-screen
Razzies aren't
couple.
always. I've toyed with making a video about the Razzies and
the Razzies
sort of
aren't great.
Economy.
The political the political economy of the Razzies is bad,
but in this case,
it was beat out in all categories by either the Wayans movie Little Man or Basic Instinct 2.
You know what? Those okay. Right. It's easy to forget just how bad movies were in 2006.
And then Nick Cage, also in that movie phone interview that I mentioned earlier, it was Nick, why did you want to do this movie? And Nick was well, my very good friend Johnny Ramone was such a huge, massive fan of the original, and on his deathbed, he was like, Nick, you're doing Wicker Man, right?
So, oh dear. So he just shat on his friend's grave, is what you're telling me?
It was Johnny Ramone's dying wish that I act in this movie. Jesus.
I would have said it in a more diplomatic way, but essentially, yeah.
Oh my God! Was it? I'm so sorry if this is Nick Cage slander, but he went through some drug problems, right? Was this during that time? Does anybody know?
He's definitely in the thick of his financial problems at this point.
Okay. Just I'm trying to. This is also. This was also the time that Nick Cage was considered I remember fairly vaguely because I was pretty young, but I do remember there being a very distinct period of history of my youth where everybody hated Nick Cage. Everybody thought he was the worst actor ever, and he was like a sort of proto meme that way.
Yeah,
I don't know. He redeemed himself later on.
So for adults at this time, your perspective would be interesting because you'd be like, as an adolescent, the perception of Nick Cage is going to be different. Where for adults at the time, Nick Cage was a very competent actor, like an award-winning actor who had been in movies where he definitely deserved to win those awards. And it's like, we saw those movies, and yet here he is doing this stuff. So it was like, what is going on over there? Like, what are these incomprehensible decisions being made? I would need to spend a bit more time. I'd need to sit down and actually like reconstruct the timeline to really pin like where Wicker Man falls in the evolution of his reputation. But it is definitely like in this phase of like, okay, so Nick Cage, talented actor, makes like one good movie a year and then churns out 20 terrible movies a year.
Did you see that Community episode where Abed goes insane trying to figure out if Nick Cage is a good actor or a bad actor? It's a good episode.
Yeah, so
that's my contribution to the discussion.
The thing I think in the sense of like Nick Cage redeeming himself is the fact that like he just then like stayed in that mode so long that it became funny. Like it
became his new identity as a celebrity.
Yeah, it became his new identity
actor.
as a celebrity. Yeah.
And he banked off that really well. At that, that's it's it's probably not a great sign that I can't remember any of the titles of these movies. But like that movie that he did with Pedro Pascal. Funny.
Where he's
the
playing
Unbearable
himself. Weight of Massive Talent.
Yes, that one. The Five Nights at Freddy's knockoff he did is better, far better than the actual Five Nights at Freddy's movie. That's a really good movie, and he doesn't say a word in it. He's a completely silent role. Like, he just kind of exposed himself to these roles that kind of nobody else could play because everybody else has a career to protect.
Yeah.
And so I guess in that way, The Wicker Man does some service. To the world of art.
And that career choice was motivated by like the twin demons of workaholism and crippling debt.
Yeah, overspending. Yeah, don't buy crypts for yourself in New Orleans. You don't need it.
Don't buy a crypt in New Orleans. Don't buy a castle.
What?
Don't buy a castle.
He bought a crypt?
Oh, yes.
Like to be buried in?
Yes.
Does he still own it?
Yes, he does. You can go visit it.
He bought a castle. He doesn't own that anymore. He bought a mammoth skeleton, I believe.
Has he not heard of a 401k?
No, like he just massive spending problems. He was just
wow.
So many properties, so many like bizarro like collector's items.
Very much the kind of stuff that you buy if you are not used to having money and then come into a lot of money. But also,
like, even if you're used to having money, just come into a lot of money and then
Coppola,
keep coming into even more money. Yeah. You'd think that he would have been like inured to that by the time his career finally took off, but like, no.
I will say I do appreciate that through all of his troubles, he is, in every case, it's a strong choice. It's a wrong choice, but it's a strong choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he is certainly memorable, which no doubt contributed to his revitalization later on.
There is a little bit of sort of, you know how there's such like an infinitesimally small chance that we exist, like in the universe?
Like at all. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But like we do.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how Nick Cage is as an actor, where there's so many
specific
there's so many
things.
like explosive choices and so many directions that like statistically the chance of them turning out good are low, but he does so many that you still end up with like good Nick Cage performances. Mm-hmm. I've liked him more as he's gotten older.
I love Nick Cage.
Yeah.
He's great.
He's very funny.
I think he's funny in this movie, you know? Again, they are wrong choices, but like every now and then, like that scene where he is waking up, I think is just like performed perfectly. It's so funny because he is performing frustration. He's not performing fear. And by the end of the movie, when he's punching all those women in the face, it's because of frustration. And he just wants to get to the end of the movie as much as you do.
There's that one line that he has. I think it's when he's talking with the teacher or something, where it's like, she's like Sister Rose, and he goes, "Of course, another plant, Rose."
Yeah.
I was like, at some point, I think he knew.
Yeah, he's over it as much as the audience is, and I appreciate that about that movie. It's weird to have that kind of meta filter over everything. I have no idea what his state of mind was when he was filming it, but it's amusing for me. What else?
Okay, all right. I am looking at the timeline. So the thing, all right, National Treasure, 2004. Not a great film, but
not a terrible film.
Not a terrible film.
Yeah.
Then in 2005, he puts out he's in two movies, Lord of War and The Weatherman, both of which he is fantastic in. The Weatherman is kind of weak on the script side, but his performance is great. And Lord of War, I'll stand by, is a fabulous movie. So that's kind of that's
what I'm saying. He had two good movies.
Yeah. So
he's back. So
yeah, 2002
that's
adaptation.
not how statistics work.
2002 adaptation. 2000, I guess he wasn't in Shadow. He wasn't actually in Shadow of the Vampire. But you've got Family Man. Saccharin, Gone in 60 Seconds. Tacky fun, Bringing Out the Dead with Scorsese. Not Scorsese's best, but I think an underappreciated Scorsese. But 99 also had 8mm, one of the worst films ever.
He just, that is the story of Nick Cage in this era, that he's just doing all these movies so he can pay his debt, right?
Yeah.
That's why he just accepts
he's rapidly oscillating
project.
between great movies where he does a really good job and bad movies where he still tries to do a job but is under the direction of a weak or bad director that is basically leaving him to direct himself.
Nick Cage feels like the dramatic version of Jim Carrey.
What do you mean by that? Say more.
I can see that. But say more.
I'm not gonna elaborate. No, just I think it's very similar. Jim Carrey was just doing a lot of stuff, and when he had a strong director, he was really, really fantastic. Truman Show is preposterously good and really funny, and he's really good in it. And then I think Liar Liar's good.
I think Liar Liar's good.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yes Man, I think, was pretty good, if my memories have not betrayed me. But then there's a bunch of just garbage.
I Love You, Philip Morris.
I don't know that one. Is that Thank You for Smoking?
No, or I might be getting the title wrong. Oh yeah. No, it's called I Love You, Philip Morris. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor. Yeah.
Well, anything else to say about this movie? The Wicker Man, 2006.
Everybody talks weird. Everybody that isn't Nick Cage talks weird, and everybody else talks. I'm still hung up on that. Sure, I spent forever ranting about how Willow talks like she's deeply inebriated and or has a traumatic brain injury. But everybody else adopts this still has this weird affect that is neither that really just makes it clear that everybody is lying. Everybody has this poise that's deliberately withholding, and they all sound like they're reading their lines like a third grader.
Yeah, it's also everybody speaks in with a vibe of somebody's idea of how Amish people are, who has never met Amish people and are very predisposed against them,
Yeah.
Not in terms of their language necessarily, but in terms of their sort of performative piety.
Yes.
And repression, even though there's no need for that at all, because again, this is a matriarchal society that's supposed to be
I still can't understand whether Summer's Isle is supposed to be Bohemian Grove or if it's supposed to be Provo.
Yeah, I don't think the director knows either. I think he just doesn't like women very much.
Yeah, I do. When I was clicking last night just on all the actors, I was like, what do you mean that they're good? because they're not.
These are all good. This is a pretty stacked cast, you know?
Yeah, it's a solid cast.
It is. But unlike the Shaggy Dog, which we covered recently, like nobody is really doing their job. There's like a good director will really make or break a performance. Holy.
Yeah. And the fact that everybody is, I really, really vociferously put it on the director, because like everybody except for Nick is giving the exact same type of bad performance. Like they're giving a bad performance in the exact same way. So it's like, oh, somebody told you to do that.
Yeah.
You've been instructed to like deliver those lines that way.
So it sounds like, don't watch the new Wicker Man 2006.
Watch reviews of the Wicker Man 2006. Takedowns of it are really
Dan's
funny.
going to put out his own video. Do watch the original Wicker Man from 1973.
Very compelling movie.
So interesting.
But instead of the new Wicker Man, what should people watch? This is how what we do. We try to do a little recommendation at the end, just like what to watch that we've done in most of the episodes.
Yeah, sometimes we
forget.
Deliverance. If we're going to talk if we're going to talk American folk horror, Deliverance, it's a movie that obviously has like a deep and long reputation.
Yeah.
I expected it to be underwhelming when I finally got around to watching it, and I was kind of blown away. Like it was better than I thought, and it was better in ways that I wasn't expecting. It was kind of like Saturday Night Fever in that regard. Like you hear about it as a good movie, and then you watch it and you didn't you're like, oh, I didn't realize this was a masterpiece. No, Deliverance actually, it has some famous scenes that have been aped to hell and back.
Dueling banjos.
Fabulous American folk horror.
Nice. I have not watched anything new since the last time we recorded because I've been deep in dissertation work. So I'm going to recommend a book, if that's okay. The Twittering Machine by Richard Seymour. It's about the sort of political economy or political economic implications of Twitter specifically, but also social media as a whole. It's becoming like a kind of a central source in a lot of the direction I'm taking my stuff. So if that's the kind of thing that interests you, The Twittering Machine by Richard Seymour. Read a book, sometimes.
Yeah. I'm also going to recommend a book, which is
Hang Me Out to Dry.
Folk horror. Called The Knicks by Nathan Hill. It's one of the funniest things I've read in a very long time.
The Knicks as in the New York Knickerbockers, or the Knicks as in NIX, referring to some other
NIX.
Mystery thing.
I don't know what that's in reference to, because I'm only on part 2, but it's really good, and it's very funny, and it's very dry, which is rare in American books, I think, and I like it a lot.
Cool.
This
is the first time either of us have recommended books, so we truly did just like just abandon
we did
you.
share a look as soon as you were like, here's a movie, we were like, okay, now's the time to spring our trap.
Dan, thank you so much for doing this. This has been so much fun. What a treat.
Thank you, Dan.
To have you here to talk about this. Yeah.
Not that you have to. Do you want to promote anything now that we're at the end?
You can find me and my team on YouTube at Folding Ideas. We've got some stuff in the works that we're very proud of that's coming out later this year. You can find me personally on social media at Foldable Human. I'm most active on Blue Sky these days.
Nice. Cool. Great. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening to Once More with Feeling, a podcast about great original movies and their really bad American remakes. If you want to support us, Patreon, which is on the show notes. Dan, you would think that I have rehearsed this enough.
This is like episode 24 or something.
I think this is 26.
It's become already a storied tradition that Gus has no idea how to end this, and I have no idea how to describe myself in the intro. So
yeah, if you want to support us, check out the Patreon, which in the show notes, various social medias, Blue Sky. My sister runs our Instagram and has been posting some very fun clips.
She's so good at it.
She's really good at it. With Feeling Pod. Do you have any questions, comments, concerns? Do you want to just kind of reach out and say what's up? You can email us at withfeelingpod@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Outro music.
Electro music.
Too often stripped of love, just LIP and